Hello everyone, I'm Ernie Humphrey, the CEO and founder of 360 Thought Leadership Consulting. Thank you to everyone for taking the time out of your day to join us today for the webinar, Mastering the Art of Networking Effectively at a Conference. Personally, I enjoy a challenge, and networking with Treasury professionals and building lasting connections with them has been one of the most challenging things I've faced and continue to face in my career. And as we all know, the AFP Annual Conference is just around the corner. Today, going to be a little less formal webinar. I'm going to go ahead and share my top 10 tips in cracking that hard outer business shell of most Treasury professionals, and how to get invited to the right Treasury cliques, and also how to connect on a level that can be the foundation of a mutually beneficial relationship. Before I get started, a little bit of a background. I've been squarely in the arena of corporate treasury for over 15 years as a corporate treasury manager, and I've worked with thought leaders in developing educational webinars focused on the Office of the CFO, as the Director of Treasury Services at the AFP, and also as the CEO of 360 Thought Leadership Consulting. I also know how hard it is to find job opportunities in the arena of Treasury and to drive your own professional development, so that's inspired me to partner with TreasuryJobs.com to offer this webinar, which is part of an ongoing series of webinars designed to impact the career success of Treasury professionals. With that, let me just give a few quick words about TreasuryJobs.com before we get started. Pretty amazing. I wish something like this would have existed when I was out in the Treasury space trying to find Treasury jobs and manage my career. Our goal is to connect Treasury talent with the right opportunities and impact career success. Already servicing 300 of the Fortune 1000. Focus only on Treasury jobs, which is awesome. Offer complimentary webinars, which are on right now. We offer a Treasury career blog and Treasury certification resources, and that will only continue to grow. So a few housekeeping items. The presentation is already available for download via the handouts area in your GoToWebinar control panel. I will send you a link via email to the webinar recording within 48 hours. I'd like to hear from you, so please ask me questions at any time during the questions area in your GoToWebinar control panel. Depending on how many questions you have, this might be a little quicker webinar that you're used to, so just let me know your questions and we'll make sure this is a valuable use of your time. Before we dig in, I want to specifically outline the learning objectives for the webinar, which is also our agenda today. So I want to get a better understanding of how you can define your ROI for attending a conference, how to set and reach specific goals that define the components of your conference ROI, discover how to meet the people you want to meet, how to make the conversations you want to have come to fruition, how to avoid time-wasting conversation, and then how to have fun and maximize your conference ROI. So, got to take a step back, got to look at why you're attending a conference. So sometimes we attend conference for professional certification credits. More value is gain insights for ongoing or upcoming projects, staying on top of your game, professional networking. Sometimes we do it to get out of the office, which is it's an ancillary reason. Business development, also a great reason, client meetings, and then one which I don't really like, you always go to the same conference every year. So first of all, you want to look at, is this the right conference for you to go to? I would argue the AFP Annual Conference is a great conference, but you want to look at why you're attending, because that's going to help you frame your ROI. So hopefully it's a combination. If you're on the practitioner side, you want to get insights on an ongoing or upcoming project. You want to stay on top of your game, and you want to get a leg up on professional networking. If you're more on the practitioner side, you might be more on the lines of business development and having client meetings. So in terms of how you would define your ROI, I'll note some of these things seem like common sense, but I found that they're pretty valuable for me to take a look at these things and really manage them before I go to a conference. It makes it more interesting, and you can actually make games out of some of these goals as well with some of your colleagues. So define your ROI. You want to define how many CPE credits you want to earn. So you want to make sure that you disconnect from work to attain all the CPE credits that you want. You want to have a number of targeted connections that you want to make. So you want to get those connections, you want to get business cards, and you want to transform those into LinkedIn connections. If you have a smartphone, sometimes what I like to do is I'll send someone a LinkedIn invitation when I'm still having a conversation with them. So business cards, LinkedIn, it's best to go and make that connection right on the spot. If you're not on LinkedIn, I do other webinars on LinkedIn, happy to have a conversation. on that as well. You might want to look at the number of sessions you want to attend in a target topic area. Maybe you're looking at AP automation. You want to set that as a goal. On the business development side, you might want to define your ROI, number of new leads acquired, number of new relationships moved down the sales funnel, so from the top of the funnel maybe down 1 or 2 slots, and also potentially the number of client issues that you have resolved or avoided, so that business intelligence that you've gathered at the conference. So that's kind of the building blocks of your ROI. You want to set those dimensions there. So in terms of achieving your ROI, just some general comments, and then what we'll do is we'll take a look at the AFP Annual Conference actually has a mobile app which is pretty powerful, and it will really help you deliver your ROI. So I'm going to go ahead and take a live look at that after we go through a little bit more content to set the stage. And I apologize if that seems a little bit as something that you can do yourself, but I think it's important to take a look at those things. So I'll spend some time on there because I think this can really be valuable. And then if you have any issues in getting on the app or using it after the webinar, just feel free to reach out to me. So first and foremost, you want to plan your time blocks. Each day you are there each day. So you want to look at how the conference schedule, we'll look at that in a minute, is broken down. Plan all of your time blocks. You want to set up as many networking meetings as possible before the conference. So you don't want to be scrambling around trying to set up networking meetings. If there are 5 to 10 people that you really want to meet at the conference or get a hold of, you need to get those set up here real quick before the conference starts. You should set goals for each day, so how long you're going to be there. If you're going to be there Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, going out Wednesday, how long you're going to be there. Set goals for each day, and then you want to reprioritize the goals in the middle of each day. So what you want to do is halfway during the day, you want to say, okay, am I on track? Did something get me off track? Did I meet a vendor I wasn't expecting? Did I get caught in a conversation I wanted to have but didn't plan to have? And then you want to own your time. So I would say there is, do not let people waste your time. Some people like to talk a lot and get you kind of off track. So you have to develop some techniques in order to not let people waste your time. So some of those are just your cell phone. You can look at your cell phone, just kind of take a glance down at your watch. Some people will take that. If you have your time plan, you can set up an alert. You can actually set up something that beeps, set up your phone. So, and then you want to plan specifically how you will approach, who you want to meet, and exactly how and when you'll make that happen. So you really want to practice that. So you want to have that planned out, and you want to practice your elevator pitch for networking with peers, and especially if you're going to engage potential clients. So if you're going to network with your peers, you have to have your little elevator pitch, how to start a conversation. So I'll get into some starting conversation tips a little bit later, but you really want to have that pitch down, especially if you're going to engage your potential clients. Whether you're going to network or engage with clients, you want to do some research. So if you're going to want to meet certain people, you want to learn a little bit about them, what they do at their company, something about their company, some way to make that warm connection. So it's almost like a cold call. So when you're trying to engage in a conversation, having a cold conversation can be difficult and awkward, but there's some really easy tips to use that you can lessen that stress on your end. And those elevator pitches, I think, are very important as well. So like I said, we'll take a look at the online app. It's https://event.crowdpass.com/AFP. So let me go ahead and we'll take a look at that app. And then you should have received an email from the AFP, which sends you a link to the app, and then you'll have to confirm your email and get that set up. So one thing you'll want to do is you'll want to set up your profile. So you can choose to show this with others. Others can find you. You don't want to necessarily set your profile to private if you want to get some organic connection requests. Then you want to make sure that you fill out your profile. And then you can also link to your website, your LinkedIn URL, your Twitter URL. So you want to do that as well. So you want to have a complete profile, so people who are leveraging the app, they'll want to come and they'll be able to find you, and then hopefully you'll get some organic connection requests. So one of the things that I mentioned is you want to look at your schedule. So there's a way to manage your schedule. So I'll just show you what I've done and then the steps I took to get there. So my schedule, I'm not getting in until Monday at a little bit later in the afternoon. So I've the meeting scheduled with a potential client, and then I've gone through and added my specific events for each time block. Okay, I need to go to the break in the exhibit hall. All right, I've got a session here, and then I've got an event with one of my clients. So I've got that all. So I've got that all planned out. And you want to do that for every day. So Tuesday I should have more. So I'm like, I want to attend the attendee breakfast. I'm going to go to the AFP LinkedIn corner. I'm going to walk the exhibit hall floor. So in looking at your time blocks, you want to be really specific and say, I'm going to spend this much time on the exhibit hall floor. This is what I'm going to do. This is going to be why I'm doing it. And then there's other items here which you'll start to get into, hopefully, if you really leverage the app. There's messages, contacts, and then there's notes and bookmarks. So it's really cool. This app is extremely powerful. They've come an awful long way. I used to work at AFP probably 6 or 7, 8 years ago, and the things that they've done are amazing. So what you can do is you can look at your schedule. So let's say I was coming in on Sunday. I look at the blocks. I say, what's going on? If you're taking the CTP class, all you do to add it to your schedule, you just click right there, boom, goes on your schedule. So going through the days and the schedules allows you to add events to your schedule. So you're building up that schedule there. So it's pretty cool. So you can build your whole schedule, and then you can also download that schedule as well. So it's pretty powerful. Then one of the things you might want to do is if you know that you have a network and there's a speaker that you want to see is there, you can go in and look at their speakers there. So for me, I'm just going to scroll down here. Let me take a step back. This is how I started. One of the ways I started building out who I was going to ask to connect with me for the conference. So I'm going to say, oh, Margaret. I know Margaret. I do know Margaret, actually. So Margaret's a good speaker. So I might say, oh, Margaret, she's a good speaker. So I might want to connect with Margaret, or I might want to see when her session is. So this speakers by name is a good way to see if there's specific speakers that you want to hit. And then there's also an exhibitors area. So if you're looking for, if there's your vendor that you want to see, you can search by name. And then you can also search by category as well. So if you're looking at accounts ACH, let's say you want to look for accounts payable automation, as I mentioned earlier, it gives you all of the potential booths that you want to visit. And again, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you make time to visit those booths specifically and spend so much time at the booths, but you don't want to get caught there necessarily for an hour. Another cool thing that they have in here is the map. It can be a little bit confusing when you're going between the sessions, but this is the one that I will probably use the most, is the exhibit hall map. So that'll help me kind of navigate my way around. So it's pretty cool. You can move stuff. You can zoom in and out. So that helps you find out where you want to go. So I'll talk about these things a little later, but there's some key areas here. So that you want the AFP membership center. That's a good booth. The AFP booths. Those are always good booths to go to if you need a retreat. If you need to talk to someone, you have your AFP regional booth for whatever region you're in. This is a good space too, the LinkedIn corner. They're offering a lot of education on how to leverage LinkedIn, and then your conference connect. So it's just, I think there's going to be places to power your cell phone and just talk there. So these are just like home base, right? My home base. If I'm walking around and I don't know where to go, I need to sit down. I go to the AFP Membership Center. If I want to find someone who works at AFP and ask them some questions, these are just key places that you want to go. So this map can be extremely important. And then here is where you can search for attendees. So this is how I actually went through all the attendees and started building up my list. So what I did is I would just scroll down and say I've got a couple different business angles. So I'd say, oh, I want to, I recognize people that I might want to connect with, I might want to talk to, that I've known from the past. And what I'll do is I would add them. So I added them as a connection, and I wanted to connect with them. So this is a good way you can type the attendees. I think you can search by company name as well. So this will help you target. So you have I want to meet up with so and so. So what you would do is I would say, oh, I see that Zach's going to be there, right? So I wonder. So I was like, ooh, I know Zach. I think Zach's a LinkedIn connection of mine. If I want to connect with Zach at the conference and he's not a LinkedIn connection of mine, what I would do is I would go ahead and get on LinkedIn and I would send Zach a connection request, and then I would try and make that connection. And then if I wanted to meet with them, I'd just send him a quick note and say, hey, Zach, are you going to be at the AFP Annual Conference? I'd like to meet up with you if you have 10 minutes. So this is a great way for you to build out. So you want to get really, it seems like a lot of work, but it's actually worth the effort, especially if you're trying to do any kind of business development or if you're doing a specific project. If you're doing a specific project, I'd look on the schedule side and look at the sessions by track and then try and get connected with the speakers. And that's just the speakers are usually the most generous with their time. I used to speak and I used to work at AFP, so the speakers are usually very happy to connect with you, spend a few times, and really the reason that most people speak is so that they can help you avoid some of the pain that they've gone through in, let's say, doing a treasury management system implementation or something else. So that can be key. So this is a really great place to build that network, and then you'll have some contacts there. And like I said, it's important if you know you want to meet with someone, get that set up. See if you're connected via LinkedIn. Build those connections via LinkedIn. Make those meetings happen, especially if it's someone if you have a specific reason for reaching out to them. I see you've done accounts payable projects. I noticed your company does XYZ. I've seen you speak before. When you give someone a little bit of recognition on that, I read your blog, I saw your presentation, people are usually extremely happy to meet with you. So I used to be very fearful about that. I actually used to be an introverted person. My first AFP conference, I probably stood in the corner. Those of you who know me at all will find that hard to believe, but it's just a process. You have to get comfortable with it, and we'll talk about some more tips. You just have to one of the things I'll say is you need to just leave your ego at the door, and that's probably the best thing that you can do. And then there's also attendee events. So this gives you a list of the AFP sponsored events, and then the big sponsors, they have their events. It's always good to go to as many of these events as possible. There are just a lot of people there. So there's a lot of people there. You can meet, a lot of opportunity there. There's always big crowds there. So you're always going to probably meet somebody interesting, and I'll go over this a little bit more detail. Here's an extremely valuable item. So you can actually download the AFP Annual Conference registrant list if you want to search a different way rather than attendees. What you can do is you can actually download this PDF file, and then you can convert that into an Excel file, and that'll help you filter in Excel by title, by anything that you'd like. So if you'd like some assistance on doing that, getting that downloaded, and then how to leverage that Excel file, I'm happy to have those conversations as well. And then they've got some questions, that you can ask. So it's pretty cool. So the app is extremely powerful. So if you haven't done that, I would suggest that you spend the time to do that, and then look at this attendee list, which is fantastic. So it really gives you all the tools to plan all of your time blocks, identify your target speakers, identify your exhibitors that you want to connect with, and so it's very valuable on both fronts. So I think this is extremely important. I said even though it might seem easy to do, it'll take a little time, and hopefully, if nothing else, I've inspired you to use the app. And then if anyone has any questions about the app, please feel free to reach out to me after we go. So I'm going to go ahead and skip these slides. So all the screenshots that I just went through, those will be available. Again, they're available in the handouts area in your GoToWebinar control panel. So now I've got some more fun tips, and I'll add some color around these. So I say, when in doubt, alone and feeling lonely, what do you do when you're at the conference? We all like to think that never happens, but it happens to every single person that goes to every single conference, especially over 3 days. So my advice is approach a practitioner attendee with a bunch of ribbons under his or her name badge. So I'll show you real quick what a name badge looks like if you've never been to a conference. A ribbon are the items that hang below. So you'll be able to say speaker. Ooh, that person's a speaker. easy conversation starter. Hey, have you given your session yet? What are you talking about? Corporate attendee, right? It's a fellow practitioner. Ooh, CTP if you're a CTP. Those are 3 extremely easy conversation starters. The other badge things to look at is all the AFP personnel have a badge that says ask me a question. So you can identify the AFP professionals. You can ask them a question. Hey, do you know people in this area that do accounts payable automation? They probably know a lot of people that are members. They know the vendors very well. So they're just a really good resource to have and a good way to make sure. And if you're lost, it's easy to get lost. So good way to optimize your time. And these are fantastic conversation starters. And if people, the more badges they have, the more willing they should be to help you out. So it's great. Again, I talked about those things. And then I mentioned the exhibit hall area. So we showed that map. I mean, these are like the safe zone. So if you're just overwhelmed by the floor, want to sit down, go to the AFP booth, the AFP areas on the exhibit hall floor. It's great to walk the exhibit hall floor and visit a booth of a current vendor or a potential vendor. Sometimes you have to be careful. Some people are pretty aggressive if you're a practitioner when you're walking the floor of kind of pulling you over. But then again, like I mentioned earlier, you just have to own that time and have a little purpose. But sometimes if you're wanting to kill some time between sessions, those are conversations that aren't bad to have. And then also, if you always look like you know where you are and why you're there, that just conveys your confidence in anything else that you need to do when you are approaching a conversation. Sometimes the Treasury folks, as I mentioned in my marketing, have cliques. So it's taken me a while to get into some of these cliques. So there will be a group of 10, 20 folks standing around in a circle. And sometimes you have to, what I'll talk about this a little bit, you have to kind of sidle up to the conversation. Sometimes you have to be, and I call it charmingly aggressive. So you do have to kind of knead your way into the conversation a little bit. But especially if people have those badges on, those AFP badges, those speaker badges, those people are always willing to include you in the conversation. And people that have those badges on should see that you want to engage in the conversation. So you have to give those nonverbal signals. Of course, you don't want to be rude and interrupt the personal conversation. But if there's a large group of folks, I found once you just get comfortable with the fact that you might not get in the conversation, or you might walk up and then think, oh, they're pretty intense. I'll walk away and kind of see if there's another conversation that I can start or enter. It's actually fun. Again, once you leave your ego at the door and realize that you're there for a reason, think about how much money you spent, think about how much time you spent. So you want to optimize that ROI there. Nobody cares. I mean, they're all there for a reason. So if anyone gives you, I find it a challenge. The dirtier the look someone gives me, the more determined I am to put a smile on their face, and I'll let them know that right out of the gate. So most people laugh when they give you a weird look. So every once in a while they don't, but it's just not worth it. So move on and have fun. So here's some more general tips. If you're not an outgoing person and you know people that are, hang out with people that are outgoing. Someone like me, right? So feel free to reach out to me. You can hang out with me anytime. So I love helping people network at these conferences. Here's a tip that I didn't always follow myself. You want to attend every meal. So you want to make sure you get the breakfast, lunch, and dinners, and have a little purpose on where you sit at each meal, and try and meet new people at each meal. Try not to just go and sit with the same people every single day, every single session. You'll be amazed how much more you get out of the conference if you make that effort to get out of your comfort zone a little bit. And as far as attending offsite vendor events, some of you practitioners will get a lot of invitations. So you want to attend the events that matter to you. Is it a potential vendor? You have some concerns. You really like your vendor. You want to communicate that. And if you're not invited to a vendor event, get yourself invited. Most vendors, I'd say all of them, love to have corporate practitioners. At the event. So don't go to a competitor's event if you're a vendor, but it's not that difficult to get yourself invited to those events. So if you want some more input on that, happy to help you on that. And then you want to hold yourself accountable for your goals. So you want to make sure that you have your goals, you spent the time with your goals, so hold yourself accountable for your goals and make sure that you're achieving them. And one way to do that is to reprioritize your goals every day. You might even want to share your goals with the people you're networking with. So if your networking buddy's outgoing, say, hey John, I really want to learn more about this AP automation. I like this speaker. Do you know who he is? And your outgoing person will probably say, well, no, but let's go talk to him. So anyone that can be helpful to you, you want to be around people that make you more comfortable. So they'll help you get out of your shell and you'll feel more comfortable approaching people. And then, like I said, create competitions with peers to make networking fun. So you might go with someone from your company, one of your close treasury pals, and say a connection. Yeah, I'm going to try and get 50 LinkedIn connections. I'm going to try and get 60. So just have a little competition. And then I'll say this too many times, but just leave your ego at home. The more you can do that, the more ROI that you'll get out of the conference. So again, some of these things seem like common sense, but one of the things I'm trying to do is just get people to think a lot more when you're going and when you're there. Just keep this top of mind. I know you get tired, get frustrated, but then you just come back to, okay, I got my goals, I got all my time slots mapped out, and then how much money did I spend? This is a great opportunity for me. So in closing, and then I'll take a few questions if we have any, just learning objectives, revisit it, and then I'll hit my top 10 list. Again, we talked about how do you define your ROI for attending a conference. First, you have to list out your 3 or 4 reasons for attending the conference. CPE credits, networking, I want to learn more about AP, I want to learn more about Treasury Workstation, I want to learn more about LinkedIn. So let's get those all down and align those, and then understand how to set and reach your specific goals that define your ROI. So again, part of that might be making those connections. So you want to make some as much as possible through the app. You want to make those via LinkedIn. You want to warm those up. You also want to look at those badges. So you want to look at those badges and remember those tips I gave you on the badges. Is it a speaker? Speaker, AFP person. So there's things on the badges, fellow practitioner. Those are always good.